I just booked business class tickets worth over $17,000 for under $700 in cash out of pocket. I want to show you how to do the exact same thing in this video. I needed to book business class tickets, two of them, and I was looking for a nonstop from Paris to Tokyo. And you can see on the screen, these tickets would cost, if I paid out of pocket, over $10,000. Now, I wasn't about to spend $10,000, so how was I able to book these tickets? The way that I did it is with mile and reward programs. Now, you can see on this one, this is a 13-hour flight. So as you can imagine, a late flat seat's going to be awesome on this flight. I was looking for a nonstop flight from Europe to Japan, and I wanted to be in business class, and I needed two tickets, and I also wanted to be nonstop. How did I do this? I did this for less than $300 in cash, and it only cost me $265.20 out of pocket. The rest I used reward miles, and I want to show you how you can do the same exact thing. I also needed to book the return flight. So coming back, I wanted to go from Europe. And in this case, I had some flexibility on the cities that we could end up in, but I knew that I wanted nonstop, preferably, and I wanted business class. When I ultimately settled upon my booking, this flight would have cost me $7,200 out of pocket. But once again, I spent well under $500 in cash. You can see the actual booking here. I had a direct flight from Japan to Amsterdam, and then Amsterdam to Copenhagen. And in this case, my out of pocket was $430.60 plus miles. So I want to show you how you can do this too. I put together a complete tutorial, and I'm going to go ahead and link in the description a video that you should definitely watch to learn all the detail on how to do this type of booking. But I want to share with you some specific strategies here today that I had to use from that video that enabled me to find these bookings. Now, ultimately, I ended up booking this for 75,000 miles on American Airlines, Advantage miles per ticket, and $133 in cash, like you do see on the screen. So combined, it cost me 150,000 miles, which I earned basically for free using credit card reward programs. And then out of pocket was just the tax on these bookings. But what made this one really special is virtually every booking I looked at was going to be 200,000 points or higher per ticket. So 400,000 or more. The only way I was able to find anything at lower was going to be a connection. What I ended up doing was use one of the strategies from the tutorial video, and I was flexible with the airport that I was willing to go at. We're already going to be in Western Europe. So it's quite easy to get to Paris, to Amsterdam, to Frankfurt, Germany, to London Heathrow, to Rome, any of the major airports. Pretty easy flight on a Ryanair, an EasyJet, and normally that's going to cost me well under $100 per ticket. An hour, 2 hours, really easy. So I was perfectly fine with a short flight to set myself up. I didn't really mind that. So having the flexibility literally saved me several 100,000 points. The first thing I needed to do is I needed to find what airports I could fly direct from Europe to Tokyo. Now, your situation might be different. Maybe you're trying to figure this out from New York to Europe, or New York to Asia, or Los Angeles to wherever. But the steps that I would go through, what I did is I went ahead into Google Flights and I went to explore, and I said, let me start with Tokyo, because it doesn't really matter that I'm flying into Tokyo or out. It's going to be the same routings that are going to fly direct. I can say Tokyo, and I don't worry about economy or business class or anything like that. I'm just looking for direct flights. So I'm going to make sure that nonstop is on. And then right away, it's going to give me all around the world where I can fly to from Tokyo direct. But I want to really focus in on Europe. Suddenly, this opens my eyes to where can I fly direct from Europe to Japan? I'm currently in Paris at this time, so that makes total sense. Let me try Paris first. But you notice how close Frankfurt is? So that, of course, becomes another great option. Amsterdam, London, even Zurich or Munich, you never know, even Vienna. These all possibly could have a way better points redemption. So what this does, it gives me 5 or 6 or 7 more shots at getting a great redemption instead of just saying, I've got to get it out of Paris, nothing else. Now, if that's the case, I could have been flexible on my date, which I was a little bit, but it didn't make that big of a difference. But just by now knowing that I could go ahead and take a short flight to one of these other locations and potentially look for flights from there, it opened up way more options for me. Now, normally in the past, you would have to spend hours upon hours trying to go through every airline, booking sites, I've done it manually in the past. Probably the 6 or 7 airports I just mentioned, it probably would have taken me 4 to 6 hours to try to go through all the possible accommodations, but you don't have to do that anymore with a website like Point.me. I do want to make one more suggestion, and that is to consider a website called flightconnections.com, because this also was able to give me, are there direct flights from, let's say, France to Japan, where I could have put Tokyo as well. And right away, it tells me there's directs to Osaka and Paris, just in case there was even an alternative airport that I wasn't considering in Japan. So I could very easily type in Germany here, and same thing, it's going to tell me Frankfurt and Munich are going to give me direct flights. This is another really good site. You can go ahead and say nonstops only, or if one stop is okay. You start to get a lot of other options. You can even go as far as clicking into this and putting your dates, and it'll tell you certain flights are only operated certain days of the week. You really start to get a lot more variables, and that's pivotal if you want to get a redemption like I did. To get a $10,000 ticket for just 150,000 miles plus $200 in change is a pretty incredible redemption. It's probably 7 cents per mile. All right, so I'm just showing you the search from Point.me. Very easy to do. I put Paris, I put Tokyo, the date I wanted to go. I said I wanted 2 business class tickets, and look what it came up with live here. I don't want you to wait the 2 minutes that it took to search through 33 different programs. Again, how many hours would that take me normally? Way 2 minutes. The best flight that it could find through all the different programs, a $10,000 retail price, the same that I paid, nonstop, and 88,000 points. By the way, that's per ticket. This would have cost me almost 1,000,000 points plus $628. There are some cheaper ones, but it's connections, a connection, almost 600,000 points plus a bit more cash. Not the best redemption. And certainly I don't want to give up this many points in order to make this flight. By knowing that Frankfurt was a possibility, as well as Vienna, Amsterdam, London, etc., I went ahead and did the same search. I had multiple windows open, and look what I found. I found a redemption for 75,000 points. It's still available as of this time, actually, and the 131 some odd dollars, exactly what I paid, nonstop, by the way. Which would be better, right? The connection that still would have cost me almost 4 times this, or the direct, which was 8 or 9 times this, or just get myself to Frankfurt, get a nonstop on Japan Airlines, 2 tickets, 150,000 points, plus about $260 overall. You can see the only other options were $341,000. So finding this little nugget, this little gem, saved me over $10,000, got us in business class, barely any money out of pocket, and just had to use some of my reward miles. So how did I book the $7,000 ticket back from Japan back to Europe, also in business class, 2 tickets for well under $500? I used a very similar strategy. I knew that I had flexibility on where I could go back to, so I used the same cities. I just basically flipped the script, so to speak, and used that flexibility. But I knew with Point.me or similar search engines like this, which I've introduced you to in the other video, I can make these searches in 2 minutes or less and save myself all kinds of hours, but give myself a lot of variables. Now, by doing that, I ended up finding a pretty interesting redemption to start. I was pretty excited about this one that I found on Point.me. It was a direct flight from Tokyo to Amsterdam. I was able to find this for just 127,000 points and $189 per ticket. And I can use miles from a variety of different programs, like you can see on the screen, whether I had reward from Chase, from Capital One, from American Express, from Citi. So lots of flexibility, which is good to see. And it was a nonstop, lay flat, business class, 2 tickets, no problem. Now, not as cheap as the 75,000. That was an amazing redemption. But what I found was really interesting. When I started to search with other cities, I found this. So the first one that I tried, I went to Paris. What's really fascinating to me was the Japan Narita NRT to Amsterdam was still there. So the same exact flight, but by getting another business class flight, a quick connection from Amsterdam to Paris, do you notice what happened? It dropped down to 98,000 points. So I thought about this. Wait a minute. I just saved 29,000 points. I'm actually getting an extra free business class flight to another city, which made me think about, what if I tried some other cities that were possibilities on this return? Then I looked at Vienna. So I had that same flight from Narita to Amsterdam, and look what happened again. It went down in points. Now it's down to 86,000 points and a couple $100 per ticket. So literally, by having flexibility on where I was ending up, I actually got an extra business class flight for free, and I'm now saving over 30,000 points per ticket. In the end, we decided to go to Copenhagen because it's a place we haven't been in a long time. And you can see I did it for 86,000 points, $215 per ticket in just taxes, basically. I had that same business class flight from Narita to Amsterdam, and a business class flight, by the way, from Amsterdam to Copenhagen with a short layover. And by doing this, by having this flexibility and be able to test this so quickly, think about how many points that I saved. That's almost 82,000 points that I saved. By the way, 82,000 points, as you can see, is worth many times another business class flight. That literally saved me up to about $3,000. So I saved $3,000 by saving points. I got to another city that I wanted to go to, and I actually got that additional flight for free. Pretty great deal. So now you see why it's so important to use the strategies, use the flexibility, use what we taught you by finding what are the best options. By being able to search quickly, you're going to be able to uncover these golden nuggets as well, just like I did. So in my case, this entire there and back, 12, 13, 14-hour flights, all in business class. I spent less than $700 out of pocket. Value of the tickets over 17,000, and I really maximized the use of my reward points. I'll put down below as well some of the suggested credit cards that we use, that we get miles from. If you're interested, they always have sign-up bonuses that you may very well be interested in. That's how I do it. I would say 80 to 90% of my miles come from sign-up bonuses, and then the rest comes from my day-to-day spending. But I'm never going to spend enough day-to-day to rack up hundreds of thousands of points. The best way to do that is applying for cards that you can qualify for. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments down below. I would love to hear if you did a similar search and you had a breakthrough, finding a great flight like I'm sharing. Go ahead and share the number of points, how you did it. Would love to hear that. And if you use this strategy, please go ahead and share that as well. It would be great to hear. And if you have any other ideas or any other thoughts that you can share with everybody else, that's a great place in the comments as well. With that, we'll be back with some more travel tips, strategies, and hacks in the next video. So we would always appreciate a subscribe to the channel so we can share that with you as well. Take care, everybody.